Welcome everybody to a guide on how to speed farm Sand Devil's Necropolis Stage 25 in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, I know you are seeing two mythicals on your screen and a Sifi. Please do not click off yet. I will explain how you can substitute in Lydia for Theodosia, and you can substitute in another sleep hero like Cornelia for Sifi. This is the kind of dungeon you're gonna want to farm fast. You can see our farm here takes 9 turns and lasts only 15 seconds. So I am excited to share this with you guys. Let's get into it. How the heck are you guys? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please do subscribe, especially if you appreciate this kind of content. And if you're new to Raid Shadow Legends or want to start a new account or want to start another account, check out my link in the description and the top pinned comment. It is the best link in the land for amazing champions, including a legendary right at download, nearly right at download. All right, let's get to it. So do not worry, in this video, I'll explain alternatives and how you can potentially adapt this to your own roster, but also this is some pretty endgame stuff without a doubt. I'm on a cracked out Kraken roster, so without a doubt, this is something you're gonna have to work towards. Though, as you'll see, my gear is not that freaking special, and actually this run could be so much easier with better gear, so even if you have slightly worse champions, as I'm gonna explain, if you have better gear and more of those fancy 9-piece sets, you don't even need that good of stats. You can get away with a lot less. Before we break it all down, I want to give a shout out to this creator over here, Sam the Raid Man. I'll put a link to his channel in the description of this video, as well as a link to this video. This was the strat I followed and adapted just a little bit to become my own, but I'm not trying to take any credit. He also mentions in this video someone else built the comp for him, but he doesn't mention who, so I'm going to give a shout out to that vague person. But yeah, go check out the video. His video is really cool, especially for the sheer spectacle. His gear is unbelievable. So one thing I'm going to bring you in this video, the gear is not unbelievable, not at all. So let's get into this now. You are going to need one main DPS who has an amazing A1. So for me, that's Fenax. There are a couple great options for this, though there are none more accessible than Fenax. And yes, our Fenax is +4, but you can get away with a lot less. Our Great Hall is not developed at all. Let me show you that now. This is only a 4-month-old account, though indubitably it is a Kraken account, almost level 100 and over 200,000 energy, even though we're farming nonstop. What do you want me to say? It's a Kraken account. But you can see here, nothing crazy at all. So if you have a +0 Fenax, no empowerment, but you've got a well-developed Great Hall, that should even out a decent amount. And also, once you see the gear, a lot of you will have better than we have. So you can apply this stuff to speed farm for yourself. So you need someone with a great A1 because we're bringing some ally attack champions in the form of Mad Hatter and most importantly, Mikage. Let's actually pick it up there. Mikage is bringing some great buffs as well as a chance for Brimstone, though if you've got enough DPS, you do not need Brimstone at all for this, as you're going to see. And Mikage has the awesome ally attack, and then Mad Hatter has a very unique ally attack in that it's just one ally, but it guarantees it's the ally with the highest crit damage, so for that reason, we are easily controlling that it is Fenax. The other two roles here, we'll pick it up with Sifi. This is your sleeper. You need someone to be the fastest on your team. Go in, put the Sand Devil asleep so you can land debuffs. Remember, in this fight, you cannot land debuffs unless the Sand Devil is sleeping. And then you need someone that's going to land decrease defense. Importantly now, you need decreased defense and weaken, or really, really good gear, which we don't have. Mad Hatter's bringing the weaken, so we can get away with just using Theodosia over here for her defense break. But if you have another option instead of Mad Hatter, or if you just have better DPS than we do, you can bring Lydia instead of Theodosia. Because our gear's not that special for how hard this content is to farm fast, we're making good use out of Theodosia in her alternate form with this passive over here. When allies attack, their damage is increased by 25% of the target's current turn meter. That's a key thing for us to make it work with this specific build. But I'll tell you, if we had someone in a 9-piece feral set, if we could get Sifi in a 9-piece protection set, anything like that, or if we had a 6-star Fenax, or if we just had better gear, we wouldn't need this at all, and we could just bring someone like Lydia. If you're not free to play or you're just lucky, you could also bring Riho Bonespur, who is cracked out for this, especially if you get her in feral. But obviously our hands are slightly tied, though it's a Kraken account, being an account that's only 139. There you go. It was literally reset 6 minutes ago. 139 days old. So I only add all this preface and preamble to let you guys know, yes, this is hard to do, but it's actually a lot more accessible than you think if you have an older account or a more well-developed account or just better gear. So let me show you the run. I'll show you on manual first because I think that's probably the cleanest. and then I'll show you the team setup and I'll show you the full auto. What happens here to open the battle is Siphi is going to start with her A1. Now, Siphi is uniquely amazing for this fight because her A1 is an irresistible sleep. 100% chance, cannot be resisted when she's at full skill ups. It's pretty cracked out. What else is there to say? You can see this is contingent upon the target's turn meter being equal to or above 50%, though that's not going to be very hard because the Sand Devil has a base speed of 270. So as long as your Siphi is not 540 speed or faster, you're going to be okay. So she comes in with the irresistible sleep, and now that we have the sleep debuff on, we can land debuffs. Next up, we're going to have Theodosia come in. This is where you could use your Lydia or your Riho or someone with decreased defense and weaken. To get there, though, for her decreased defense, we don't need the weaken. We're going to switch her to the alternative form. And in her alternate form, we get that passive where we're going to get the damage increase scaling off of the target's turn meter up to a 25% damage boost. And our Fenax specifically needs that. We're going to come in with the A2. She's got the block buffs and the decreased defense. Our Theodosia, as you'll see, is in a ton of accuracy, though you only need 495 accuracy or more. If you don't know what you're looking at here, by the way, guys, this is the Hell Hades Stages tool. I highly suggest using this for content. You can find the target speeds you need, target accuracy, target resistance. You can see the Sand Devil has 470 resistance at stage 25, so you need 495 accuracy or higher. I went 500 or higher just to be safe. That being said, 3% of the time, this doesn't land, just that weird raid 3%. That's the only way this run fails. If it lands, this run is always a success. So let's go in. There's the block buffs. We don't care, but there is the decreased defense. And now we're going to go in with the A2 of Mad Hatter. So you can see it's an AoE from him. That doesn't matter. The key thing is the ally with the highest crit damage is coming in to join the attack. Additionally, Mad Hatter is going to land a weaken and a hex. So now we have all these great damage scaling debuffs. We've got the hex, we've got the weaken, and then Theodosia put out the decreased defense. Let's go here. He's going to land those, and now Fenax comes in. Now the Sand Devil wakes back up. The turn meter's low, but we got all of our debuffs out. So Mikage is going to come in with her A3 in her base form. She's going to put increased attack and increased crit damage on all the allies for 2 turns. Let's do that now, and then we're going to attack with an ally attack. So everyone obviously deals some damage, but the main damage is going to come at the end from our Fenax, and you'll see how hard he's going to hit again. Boom, boom. Now there's the increased attack and increased crit damage. He's really slapping. We're going to go now with the A2 for our Siphi, though for our specific comp, it doesn't matter because she's not in 9-piece protection. But if she was, this is a key thing because now we're putting out even more buffs from her. Then I'm going to go in with Theodosia. The skill does not matter. If you could get more DPS on Fenax so he was faster, we wouldn't even need to take this turn, but I need to take it because I made him really slow. And then finally, we got Fenax with his A1. Boom, boom. GG's in the chat. So that's the very slow manual version. Let's watch that thing pretty dang fast. We can take a peek now at the damage, and you can see Fenax is doing almost all the damage with 2.7 million. Hatter's at 260k, and then a little bit from the girls. But basically, everything else happening is set up to get debuffs out and to get buffs on our team and make sure Fenax can hit hard enough to make this happen. Let's watch it again now, maybe even twice really quick so you can see. There's auto. Siphi with the sleep. Alternate form. Now we got that passive, plus we're going to land the decreased defense. Here comes the weaken, the hex, and the ally attack with Fenax because he has the highest crit damage. Here's the big ally attack. We got the increased attack and the increased crit damage. Siphi takes a turn. Theo takes a turn. Boom, boom. Occasionally, you'll see how close that one was. Occasionally, Fenax doesn't get the kill. In that case, Mad Hatter goes in and gets it. For us, that's always how it goes down. It's 9 turns with Fenax getting the kill. It's 10 turns if Hatter gets the kill. The other alternative, if you don't have enough DPS, but you can get it close, which a lot of you will be able to if you have 1 or 2 Brimstone champs, ideally 2 to increase the chance. If you're getting it really close, when the boss takes a turn, even if they wipe you, the Brimstone will get the kill. So that's your last contingency. We personally don't need it with these specific builds, but for a lot of you, that could be the ticket. And even then, it's only like a 22, 23 second run. It's like 13 turns. Let's watch that one more time, and you'll just really get the sense of how it all goes. And you can see here, Theodosia actually slows the rundown in terms of seconds because she has to switch to her other form. We just need to lean on that passive. But like I said, in one moment now, as we get into the builds, I will explain how you can get away with not doing that. Boom, boom. There is the kill, 9 turns again, this time at 16 seconds. Let's talk about our champs now. So we'll start with Fenax because he's the most important. He's the one that you got to get enough DPS on. And you'll see the build is good. The build is not crazy. We got away with a lot of stuff here to get a very greedy DPSy build. Now, what do I mean? If we pull up the stages tool again from the Hell Hades website, you'll see the Sand Devil has 270 speed, which means since the Sand Devil is asleep its first turn, as long as our Fenax can go before the Sand Devil's second turn, we are good to go, meaning he needs 135 or more speed, and we can run him really slow. So we actually ran him at 138 speed. Moreover, the affinity of the Sand Devil is Force. He's a red affinity, so our Spirit green affinity Fenax is strong affinity. Champions get 15% additional crit rate when they're the strong affinity, so we only need 85% crit rate. That's how we're able to get away with 93% here. You can see it's 93 because we're getting 5% from empowerment from +4. I'm ignoring that, so I built him with like 88. After that, it was just getting these stats high enough. The empowerment certainly helps, the blessing helps, but look at this gear. I mean, we've got some rare pieces, we've got one really cool mythical, but the rolls aren't crazy, right? There's no crit damage on this. This has a double crit damage roll on a rare piece. This has no crit rate, and it has an attack percentage enhancement, not crit damage. If we look over here, we're missing the enhancement. We got one really nice roll in the attack. We've got over here some more crit damage. It's very reasonable gear. We got all this lethal from one cycle of lethal farming. You know, obviously a decent bit of luck there, but if you've farmed lethal for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 rotations in the Doom Tower, you're totally cooking, or if you just have much better Savage than us. As for the gear down here, again, it's good. It's not crazy. We're looking for attack. We got the crit damage with the crit damage, but no good attack roll. And then we got attack here, only a double. Only a double. Obviously, it's good gear, but my point is it's not crazy gear, and we're getting away with it because of everything else we're bringing. But if you have better gear and you have other ways of getting more support, you absolutely can leave Theodosia and her passive at home. So our total stats were at 8,481 attack. We're at 368% crit damage. He has enough crit rate that he's going to crit every time. It's certainly a good build. It's certainly not a crazy endgame build. So to recap, the key thing, built him with at least 85% crit rate because he is the strong affinity, built him with at least 135 speed, and after that, get your attack, your crit damage, your ignore defense stuff as high as you can, optimize it efficiently. For the relic, we did go for a very good relic. We've got our Cat's Gaze. It is at level 5, not level 6, but from this, we're getting extra crit damage, and we are ignoring an additional 18% defense. This is a cracked out relic, do not get me wrong. And then for blessing, we're going Crushing Rend. There are 2 blessing options for this, in my opinion. You can get Crushing Rend, certainly if you have 5-star or 6-star, or you can go over here to light and you can do Heaven Cast, increasing the damage inflicted by the champion according to the number of buffs upon them. These comps are going to put out a lot of buffs. This is really good, assuming you have good enough gear / you're ignoring enough defense. We manage, right? That's what we got here. Quickly now, key thing, Fenax Masteries. Originally, I had him in Helm Smasher, but that 50-50 was too RNG, and we were failing runs when we didn't hit it. I actually found pushing him to Flawless Execution, just getting the static guaranteed plus 20% crit damage, made the run 100% successful, except for when Theodosia doesn't land the decrease defense. But yeah, there you go. That is the key thing for Fenax Masteries. I'll move myself for a second if people want to pause and copy the rest. All in all, a very good Fenax, not a super endgame Fenax, but decidedly a very, very nice Fenax with a very nice empowerment, nice blessing, excellent relic, pretty dang solid build. Let's go now to Siphi. Siphi's actually really easy to build. I built her in Bolster for other content. That's the only reason she's in Bolster here. The only thing you need from Siphi is that she's your fastest hero. Obviously, she needs to be faster than 270 because that's how fast the Sand Devil is. And frankly, for this comp, you need Siphi and your 2 debuffers all to be faster than the Sand Devil because that's how you're going to get your debuffs to actually get placed. So the order for us is Siphi, then it's Theodosia, then it's Mad Hatter. If you've got Lydia, she'd have to go in there for Theodosia somewhere before the 270. And that's literally it. Our Siphi is at 305 speed, pretty attainable when none of the other stats matter. It looks like this is a crazy build. Again, that's because Siphi's built for some other content. She just needs to get that sleep out before the Sand Devil takes his first turn. I will say Siphi is an amazing choice if you have 9-piece protection for undead hordes. We did not have it on this account, but if we had it, that would be a major boost, right? We're missing an amulet, but if I show you our protection stuff over here and what it does, you have a 75% chance to place a protected buff. Cool, But the key thing, allies deal 5% more damage per each buff placed by the wearer. So who's the wearer? Siphi. What buffs is she putting out? Her A2, which will go before Fenax or your DPSer, your A1 strong DPSer, as long as you tune it that she's more than double the speed, is putting out block debuffs, increased defense, and increased speed. That is definitely a lot. It's a nice way to get a sweet boost, especially if you combine it with another unit in protection. We actually do have the 9-piece protection on Mikage, but more on her in a second. Siphi's masteries really don't matter. Like I said, as long as you're hitting that speed and she's the fastest, that's it. But in case you want to pause, these are my masteries. For Theodosia, the 2 stats we're looking here, and again, this could be your Lydia. I keep saying Lydia because she's obviously very free-to-play friendly, freely accessible. You need the speed to be over 270, but slower than Siphi or your sleeper. So, by the way, Cornelia is a great choice. Some people might want to use Muckstalker, but obviously he's the poor affinity. He's magic affinity. Blue is weak to red, so he's not an excellent choice specifically for stage 25. Cornelia is going to be a really nice option because she's an epic. She's much more accessible. Though remember, Cornelia will be more stat hungry than Siphi because she needs accuracy. She doesn't get the irresistible sleep. So she'll need the speed to be the fastest and she'll need the accuracy. For Theodosia, though, she just needs to be slower than Siphi. You can see she comes in at 298 speed. So she's in between 270 and Siphi at 305, I think Siphi was. And then she needs the accuracy. So for accuracy, she's at 488. You might be saying, didn't you say you need 495 or more? Well, frankly, Mikage. She is going to be our leader with a great Lord skill, 80 additional accuracy. That means Theodosia's coming in at 488 plus 80, so 568. That is plenty. So the key thing for Theodosia / Lydia, make sure this unit is your second fastest, right after your sleeper, Siphi, Cornelia, whomever, and make sure with the aura skill and anything else, maybe masteries, they have at least 495 accuracy. Speaking of masteries, we actually have nothing on Theodosia. I haven't mastered her yet, and it was fine. If you were to do masteries, though, specifically for this content, getting down to War Master would help. It's just another way to get some extra damage. This is also a good moment to say, if you have Feral, this could be really cool, right? Theodosia's putting out 2 debuffs. With this specific tune, I could have her go to her A3 in her alternative form and put out a 3rd debuff. So that'd be another way to boost the damage for our attackers for Fenax. Or if you've got Lydia, you could do the same. The key thing, if you're lucky enough to have Riho Bone Spur has the craziest A2 with all the debuffs in the entire game, basically. She is the ultimate Feral candidate, but because we don't have 9-piece Feral in Shadowkin on this account, we chose not to use her. We went for Theodosia for her boost, but if you have someone like Lydia or certainly Riho and you've got the 9-piece Feral, should definitely do it. It's not actually that many stats. It's really just the speed and the accuracy. Nothing unrealistic in Raid in 2025. So our last unit to go before the boss is going to be Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter could be replaced with another ally attack unit or just another big DPS or just another debuffer, but just remember how that's going to factor in the number of hits to waking up the boss and getting the right balance of debuffs. I find him to be really, really good. I thought this was a great suggestion from the Sam video I talked about earlier. This is just really nice. We're getting a fresh debuff in Hex, a fresh debuff in Weaken. Hatter is doing a little damage himself, and he's guaranteeing that Fenax is hopping in because we built Fenax with the highest crit damage. You'll also see there's this nice multiplier here. Damage dealt by the ally joining in will increase by 10% for each debuff. This is another way that Riho would skill better, but again, we ended up going with Theodosia for our specific situation. If we look at the gearing here, he's the last one to go right before the boss, and I had it really tight at 271. He just needs to go between the boss and your Lydia or your Riho or your Theodosia or whoever you're using. He is the 3rd and final unit to go before the boss. And then I built him with some DPS. It's not a great build, though. Like, we're lacking on gear. 3,600 attack, crit capped, 252. It's fine. No ignore defense stuff here. We're just doing what we have to do. The key thing, obviously, besides the speed, is he needs to have enough accuracy. So he's at 437 plus the 80 from Mikage. That is 517. That is enough to land what we need to land. I haven't shown the relics for the other girls, I realize, because it just doesn't matter. Siphi didn't have one. Theodosia's in the golden elixir, but she never gets hit, so it doesn't matter. And then finally, nothing on Hatter. I will say for Hatter, the masteries are kind of interesting because the War Master helps. He's coming in 3 different times to attack. There's the AoE on his A2 when he brings in Fenax, the guy with the highest crit damage. That's a one hitter. And then when he comes in with Mikage, that's a double hitter on his A1. So you're probably going to land one War Master, hopefully. You don't need it, or it depends on your comp, but if you do need it, you might as well have it. We had already built him this way, so why not? By the way, shout out to Larry. If you didn't realize, this is the last Fastidious account. This is my collaborative account with Larry Lord Gary. My main account looks nothing like this, obviously. Anyway, Mad Hatter is third. We already talked about Fenax, who's last, who is our fourth and final unit. We have the free-to-play mythical in the game, Lady Mikage. Everyone will get her eventually. I built her out here in protection. That's just because Shadowkin was the only faction of this bunch we could make a 9-piece protection out of. We haven't gotten all the protection gear, all the feral gear. We're, suffering at the mercy from our siege drops, from our Hydra drops. But here is our Mikage. What's the key thing here? It's simple, just the speed. Nothing else matters. So we wanted to get her in the protection, right? With her A3 that she's going to lead in with, the move she's going to do, we're getting the increased attack and the increased crit damage on Fenax. So with the 9-piece bonus, that is 10% more damage for him. And that's it. We just need her to be slower than 270, but faster than Fenax. So I built her here at 251. It's absolutely fine. She was the easiest of the bunch to build. She's in her Brimstone. If you need it, it's nice to have 1 or 2 units in Brimstone, but as you saw, we didn't. There's no relic here. And then for the masteries, she's in pretty random masteries. Has nothing to do with this battle, honestly. So there you go. Those are all our builds. To recap, you need a speed unit to open, then you need 2 debuffers. Ideally, one of those is an ally attack kind of person. That was Mad Hatter. You want a nice diversity of debuffs. You also want to seek out good opportunities with those debuffers, maybe to get one of them in 9-piece feral. So if you use Lydia and you had her over 2 times faster than Fenax, you could get a lot of debuffs out from her, right? She's going to open with the A2. You get the decreased defense and the weaken. And then you could have her go to her A3, and you're going to get 3 more debuffs with poison sensitivity, block buffs, and the block active skills. That'd be 5 debuffs placed from her. If you don't know how feral works, let me show you very, very quickly. With the 9-piece bonus, allies will deal 5% more damage per each debuff placed by the wearer of the 9-piece feral. So if we had the 9-piece feral for Lydia and we could go better than a 2-to-1 with Fenax, which would be pretty easy to manage, right? He was at 138, so we'd only need to be at 277 or higher. That would be 5 debuffs. That'd be 25% more damage. That's a really, really good way to scale this up without crazy empowerment and blessings. Finally, remember your protection, whether that goes on Sifi, she's going 2-to-1, or maybe you've got it on your Mikage. It's a really good way to just get a little extra boost. Combine all those things with better gear, and you're absolutely cooking. You don't need any of these blessings. You don't need any of the empowerment. A final thing to shout out, if you had 1 or 2 or 3 sets of Zeal, that would scale really well as well. So maybe you have a Savage and a set of Zeal. Maybe you have an Instinct and a set of Zeal. Maybe you've got a Lethal like we have here, and instead of the Cruel, you went for Zeal. This is another really nice way to scale. You can see you're going to get plus 3% damage for every 25% HP the champ has. Fenax will be at full health, so that's another 12% damage. You can think of a lot of different ways to scale things up without having to lean on a passive like Theodosia in her alternative form, but we needed it, baby. There you go, guys. I think I broke it all down pretty dang clear. Let's watch that thing one more time. Is this going to be our 3% with not landing the decreased defense? Let's see. No, it is not. Nice and clean. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you appreciate the content, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you want to start playing Raid, or you want to start a new account, or you want to start a second account, use my link in the description and the top pinned comment. It is the best link in the land. Share with your mother, guys, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.